and I'll know. Okay, so it
It
says
says
we
live
are
on mine.
live. Huh?
It says live on mine.
Yeah, it's live. Okay, just give me introduce yourself while I get the.
Hi guys, it's RZ Jones 18 of the RZ Jones 18 exclamation point channel. We are. I had to. They want a last name now for your channel for some reason.
You can get rid of it.
Oh, you can? Okay, good. So you have to help me with that. But welcome to the first live episode of the Weekend Movie Bros podcast. Today's discussions include the Swamp Thing fiasco, the Avengers Endgame non-spoiler review, as well as spoiler discussion towards the end, and the box office predictions and a list of the top of our 22 MCU list. Those are just some of the stories for today. Once again, I'm Raymond.
All right, so I am Jacob from Jacob is Here. Both are our channels. By the way, since you are on my channel, you don't have to worry about this. But in case you do want to follow the channel that this is going to be posting on every week, which is called Weekend Movie Bros, it is going to be linked up in the cards and down below. So is my brother's channel, which he just introduced himself. It's up in the cards and linked down below. And of course, I decided to give you guys already the non-spoiler review of my own taste. I'm going to reiterate basically what I said in that general thing here. That's going to be linked up below. But yes,
and also, you guys know I'm not posting a non-spoiler review. My entire discussion will be just through the live stream today. I figured it'd be easier that way for everybody if I just do it through this.
Yeah, I wanted to have fun. I was bored today.
I'm so excited to talk about this movie.
And also, like, it was kind of eating me alive or whatever. But I will also have my listing of my top 22 movies in the order that we're going to be talking about. That'll be a segment. Then I also have 3 different stories from my brother that we'll also be talking about. Because normally this will be like more like a podcast type thing where we're going to talk about like the daily news, not so much like about a certain like subject matter of a movie.
But today is different.
Today is different. Today is bigger than like we can both prepare for. So I have a James Wan story.
Oh yeah, the stuff got announced for 25, which I have some issues and concerns about.
Oh, not talking about Bond. We can talk about Bond though. It's not a part of this list. We can talk about Bond.
I want to talk about Bond because Bond concerns me.
All right, we can talk about Bond. But this is about Say One's Lot. This is about Stephen King.
Oh yeah, because they announced for it. I forget.
We'll talk about it when we get there. We're
okay.
And then also,
Go on. Sorry, you go.
Also, Leonardo DiCaprio is supposed to star in Guillermo del Toro's new movie that he's doing after.
That excites me.
And then also, we're going to talk about Game of Thrones dropping in its ratings because I found it was really interesting. It's with the article.
Really? I did not know that.
Yep, that's why I found it really interesting. And it's small. And most of our conversations are going to be about Marvel today anyways, but I figured we could, it's this type of thing.
Yeah. So before we get into our non-spoiler discussions, I first want to talk about our theater experiences last night. This is kind of like yours and mine's. This is kind of like yours and mine's, Star Wars, basically. We have been waiting in anticipation for the ending to find out what was going to happen. And my theater last night was just bananas. When certain things happened that we'll talk about happened, my theater erupted. There's a certain moment, I think you'd agree if your theater did the same thing too, when a certain something went to somebody's hand, my theater went, woo! It was electrifying. It was the best movie going experience I've ever had. I had such a blast last night.
My experience was, I had a very interesting experience with the movie because I don't really get emotional when I see movies. I'm a very, I'm just kind of here type of person. And with this particular movie, I was screaming with everybody. I was shouting with everybody. I screamed curses at the screen, which I've never done before. I was laughing. Like, I normally am like one of those people who are sitting in the back who like roll their eyes at people who do these things when they go see a movie.
Because you remember me last year with Infinity War when I yelled "fuck" at the when I yelled "fuck" at the screen.
Yeah, and so like it's just like one of those things, and so like this, I was a part of it all, which I've never done before, and so it was a very transcending like theater experience, not just with the movie itself and the emotions that it brought upon me, but to see the emotions brought upon my whole entire theater. Because I was very curious to ask you, my whole entire theater was full, every row, every seat.
Yes. Every row.
In it.
our entire theater was completely packed.
That is also something else I think we should talk about. We can talk about towards the end or whatever, is the amount of money that it made last night alone. It's
It's
just like
fucking ridiculous.
crazy. It's just
Did you get an IMAX? You didn't get an IMAX. Did you get a poster last night for the movie?
no. I'm gonna get one when I go see it with you.
I'm very happy. I got my Captain Marvel, Endgame, and Infinity War posters all next to each other. They look awesome together. Captain Marvel was so good in this movie.
So with the non-spoiler talking, which is what we're gonna get into next, I'm gonna let my brother go first. Just gonna reiterate because I think it's very important that if you have not seen this movie yet, you definitely need to see it first. Like you need to go in completely blind, just know what you know, and
Yeah.
nothing that you don't know. You can totally watch this. There's nothing wrong with watching our non-spoiler we talks and things or anybody else's. It's just I think the experience was so much better. Me just knowing like tiny
Yeah.
little bit details.
So when I stepped out of that theater last night, it astounded me that the Russo brothers hit this movie flawlessly. I mean, my brother knows me. I throw out the word perfect and great at everything. And sometimes I do it just because of the moment. And then, it just, I don't really like to say a movie's bad or anything unless it's bad. This movie last night was flawless. I had no issues with it. Um, there are moments in this film that I'm going to remember for the rest of my life witnessing it in the theater, especially on that giant screen. There's a certain scene, and you know what I'm talking about, towards the end of the movie, brought me to tears because of just seeing what I was seeing. It's beautiful. Um, the best performance of the film by far was between Chris Evans and Robert Downey Jr. I know these movies do not get a lot of a lot of stuff for the Oscars. RDJ's performance in this movie is Oscar worthy. The score in this movie by Alan Silvestri is worthy of an Oscar. The cinematography is worth. This movie is the Black Panther this year. I really think it deserves a shot this year at the Oscars. It did. The Russos, Kevin Feige nailed the landing. This is Marvel's final modern masterpiece. The Russos nailed it. It's a masterpiece in my opinion. For all the build that they had to do, it was worth it. They fucking nailed it. That's what I thought, non-spoiler wise.
For me, non-spoilerly, I thoroughly enjoyed the movie as well. I thought it was very well done. I did some research and stuff into it, like I said, because I had time today, and I was like, let's make a non-spoiler review. So I'm not going to really talk too much about it because there was a whole video, like a 12-minute video about me talking about my favorite things or whatever. I will tell you who my favorite characters are in a non-spoiler, answer. But the script is written. It's the same guys who wrote most of all the Captain America movies, and
Chris McFeely and I forget the other guy
Stephen something.
because they're executive producers on this one as
Yeah,
well.
and personally, I think this is the best one they have delivered
Yes.
out of them all. I think this is definitely the best one that they have delivered, and so I think that's a very big shout out. The behind the scenes team, I don't think this movie would have been as amazing as it was if we didn't have the Russo brothers, if we didn't have the script makers, if we didn't have the VFX teams and all that stuff. And I think that's a really excellent way just to show like this is important. And also I really like how this one, it's not so much a spoiler, is that this one's just more grounded in like here, like
Yes.
instead of like out in
Infinity
the
War is
galaxy.
very big. Infinity War is very like big scope and crazy locations, whereas this one is more just you're back on Earth. You're realizing what's been going on, and it's just it's a it's a fucking movie.
And so I really enjoyed that aspect and things like that. And then also for favorite characters and stuff like that, I'm not going to mention Captain America or an Iron Man, as I do believe that mentioning their names are spoiler words. Even though they're in the movie, their roles are just so massive that you can't really talk about them. They did an excellent job. That's not what I'm saying. Robert Downey Jr. should definitely be nominated for the Oscar. That's for the first like 30 minutes of the movie alone.
Oh my
I think.
god!
Yeah. if you've seen the movie, you know what I mean. But
Oh.
my favorite character is by far Black Widow.
Yeah.
I would say by far it's probably Black Widow. There are so many characters in this movie. I will not lie. There is many, and everybody has their uniqueness to them. It's not
Yeah.
like every character is well done, and they're all get a respectable amount of screen time. So before we move on to the stories, I do want to mention, just because these are different things that have popped up in looking at coverage and stuff for the movie, is that you can go to the bathroom. There is a certain part in the movie where you can go to the bathroom, and that is towards the beginning of the movie, right after the big thing happens. You'll know exactly what I'm talking about when you see the movie. You can go. It's basically reiterating a lot of things that we already know, and so I would say that's the point if you do have to pee.
You know where I say you can go to the bathroom if you need to? Honestly, I hate saying this. It's in the trailer. It's when Ronan shows up.
No, see, I don't know. No,
I'll explain why when we get to the spoiler discussion. There's a reason why I think so.
yeah, see, I think that's new. I think it's more of like when something else happens. We'll talk about more. There is a certain point in the movie. I would say go with a friend who has.
Oh, wait a minute. I know what you're talking about now.
Yeah, I think you
Okay,
probably.
yeah.
I think it's probably
But
better.
that's got some funny scenes in it, though.
It doesn't matter. I still think that's probably the best
The best
way.
time, yeah. Because after that happens, you need to stay in your seat the rest of the movie.
Yeah, yeah. I say the first 10 to 20 minutes you have to be in your seat. And there's a certain little section that you're like, okay, I think I can go to the bathroom. But if you ask your friend what you missed, you're being an asshole. So don't do it.
Yes. No.
Just accepted that you missed a part of this movie that is wonderful, and that your bladder's too small and you should grow it out a little bit bigger.
A little
Maybe
bit.
get a UTI. It's fine. There's medicine for it. Drink some grape juice.
Alrighty. So, who wants to go first on their stories today?
It's on my channel. I'll go first.
You know what? That's fair. That's fair.
So the first one that
Throw the hammer down.
Yep. Put too much work into this. I'm gonna get the first one.
That's fair. All right, you go. All right, start it off.
So let's talk about the Game of Thrones thing. It's easy. It's short. It's small. It gets to the point. So, Game of Thrones had a ratings drop of over. I think you're talk, Zachary. Zachary, that leaves you.
Yeah, there you are. Okay, go on.
Okay, you were frozen on my side, so I'm assuming I was frozen on your side.
Yeah, you were.
Okay, well, as long as you're back, that's fine.
Yeah. All right, go on.
So had a huge ratings dip, which I read the whole article written by Variety, by the way, and I didn't. They never actually really talked about anything about ratings dropping, which was really interesting since that's the headline that they went with. So it's due to the fact that the premiere opened up with 11, really close to 12 million viewers. The second episode had a little bit under 10, like it's a little under 10. But in recent past histories, that is about average for an average viewer, whereas the premiere and the finale of each season always peaks up to 12, and whereas every episode in between is always around a 10 number.
Do you think that's going to change next week? I mean, do you think it's going to change Sunday because of of the importance of the episode?
Well, you mean this week, not next week?
Yeah.
But even with that being said, because I do want to reiterate this, because the headline I think is very misleading. Because in the article alone, I'm just going to read part of the first paragraph and stuff that I have screenshot here because I found the sentence really interesting. Is that with 10.29 million viewers, the second episode of the final season of Game of Thrones, A Knight of the Seven Kingdoms, is the fourth largest episode in the history of the show in terms of linear audience, according to the Nelson. Then how is that a drop if it's the fourth largest?
It's not a drop. If they're saying it's one of the best viewed episodes in the show's history, then how is that a drop?
Yeah, so it's part of the reason why I want to talk about, because I think the article was just bad, and I just didn't really like the article.
Who wrote it?
I have a screenshot of IMDb.
Gotcha. That's a weird way to write that story. Game of Thrones drops down in.
It's like they wanted to find a story to make it sound bad, but they could not make a story that made it sound bad. I think you're frozen again. I don't know if that's on my side or not.
in
You're back.
Yeah.
Okay. Well, that's my story.
Okay. So I really want to get it. I really want to get into this. So about a week ago, no, about 2 weeks ago, we got the Disney Plus announcement, right?
Mhm.
Everything got established, how much it's going to be and whatever. Shortly after that happened, we get this Swamp Thing story that production has now been halted, and the original 13 episode run of Swamp Thing has now been cut down to 10. And this shows signs that the DC Universe app and the Universe membership thing is in trouble. Because I feel like DC realizes that once November hits, unless they've got a good run of shows going, Disney is going to just absorb everybody. And it worries me about Swamp Thing because they now released the teaser, which showed Swamp Thing. And then they showed the. Yeah. Remember I told you I was doing this?
Hi, buddy. I'm sorry, I didn't mean to interrupt you. I forgot.
You're fine.
I was coming to tell you that there's $10 in quarters.
Okay.
Sorry.
You're okay.
I love you.
Love you too.
That was Dad. But and then they released trailer number 2 for Swamp Thing, and it was awesome. The body horror aspect looked awesome. I think Swamp Thing looks great. So why are they risking the show and cutting it by 3 episodes? That's my concern. Because then they also have Harley Quinn coming out at the end of the year, the animated show, and what the same thing happens to Harley Quinn, and they cut episodes from that. Young Justice Outsiders, we still haven't got the second half of the season. Titans is shooting right now, but what if Titans gets cut? It feels like DC's so worried about other things that they're cutting their shows to bring in more profits, to bring back like older things, like older cartoons, older comics, that kind of stuff. I don't want what's good about DC Universe to get struck because other things are starting to come out. That's what I'm worried about. Because I think all of their original programming is really good. Doom Patrol is really good. Titans got better as the show went on, and Young Justice is great. It's a whole, like I said in my notes, it's a whole fiasco, and I don't know what they're gonna do. You?
My personal opinion here is that there's a big rumor going around that by the end of the year, the DC thing won't even be around anymore.
Yeah.
That it's going to get moved over into a bigger company for Warner, just like Disney is having their own like Disney Plus thing. Warner Brothers is going to make it its own like bigger thing out of DC.
Well,
and
that's been
all the
around for a
content,
while now, hasn't it?
yeah. And so all the content's going to move over there. Personally, I have a strong feeling is that Swamp Thing was probably really hot out of the gate. That the reception and stuff was probably really good for the TV show.
Mm-hmm.
And then something must have went wrong.
Obviously, they cut 3 episodes off the show.
Or it could be the fact that there were certain episodes that were just completely filler and that did not need to be there, that they were wasting money on, basically.
Yeah.
That they figured the story would be better without them. It could be from exactly a point of saying, hey, sorry, we just don't think it's going to do well, and we're not paying any money for it, so figure out how to wrap this up. Or it could be from an exit, it could be from a writer being like, do we really need it? We were like 13 episodes, yay, but is that really the thing anymore? It's more like 10 episodes, yay.
I mean, look at the Marvel Netflix shows when they were going on. Everybody wanted 10, not 13, because they thought 13 was too much.
So that could be it. But it could be the fact that they don't think it's going to do well, and they probably are just like, we want to get out things that people are going to like. That way we can stick around. The prices it's too expensive.
It really is. Well, I mean, like with Titans, they just cast their Bruce Wayne too.
Yeah.
And so they're going to. So it really feels like Titans is going in the completely other direction. That's a whole other story altogether. I hope the DC Universe original content doesn't suffer from all this. because Becca and I watch Young Justice every time the episodes come out for the four of them. They're great. It's a great modern adult retelling of Young Justice with the season that's been and it's been good. And I don't want it to be hurt. So I like what they put out. It's a good app. I think it gets too much crap now. It's a good app. If you're a DC fan, it's the thing that you need. But that was one of mine.
Okay, one of my stories was, hold on. So we can talk about, so James Wan and Gary Deberhan, which is also another somewhat, he's directed a few other horror films and stuff like that, are tackling Stephen King's Vampire Tale together. So, in which is Salem's Lot. If you guys don't know what Salem's Lot is, it's about this place in, it's like Iowa or something like that, and it's all about how this group of this father and son move across country to this place because of a horrible thing that happened to them, and so they move to Salem's Lot. This whole thing is covered in vampires, and like a lot of people die in really horrible ways. It's supposed to be scary. I found it extremely boring, but it's also, I think, the third remake that they're doing of it. It's not like it's never been like turned to screen before, which is really interesting. This is part of the reason why I want to talk about it. I'm excited James Wan is part of it. If I'm not mistaken, he is not directing. He's just producing. So he's helping pick everybody who's gonna be like part of like making the team for it.
Which is a good thing, I think.
It's not exactly a horrible thing, but it's also not exactly like an amazing thing either, because he's not had the best track record. There's been quite a few different horror films that I've seen that have been under James Wan producer element, and I've not enjoyed them. So that makes me really nervous. But also, I don't get why they're picking stories that have already been made. Huh?
Yeah, because I wanted to talk to you about that, because I've been realizing this. Besides it, Pet Sematary didn't really pick up with audiences as much as I thought that would. And now you're talking about this Salem's Lot. I haven't even heard of it before.
Well, see, here's my thing with, like, I just want them to do, like, he has so many different titles and things like that. Stop remaking them and pick a different, newer title. You know, he has over 60 books, and only 11 of those are the Dark Tower stuff. So there's a ton to choose from.
Let me ask you a question in regards to that. You know, we as critics or movie people, we talk about this whole remake reboot situation constantly. It's a constant matter that gets brought up between anything that I mean, Disney right now is just the hand that cuts the butter when it comes to the remakes. And do you think studios only go with properties that have been done before because there's already an audience with them, and they're worried that if they do an original or a different, in this case, a different book that they haven't done before, do you think they'd be worried that even though the Stephen King name is on it, that it wouldn't do well?
Well, here's a counter to that. I think that's very true. I think that's extremely true. I think that's a big reason why Disney is making so many remakes, to be honest with you, is because it's easier. Originals don't normally do well. It's been proven a time and time again.
Unfortunately, yes, because two of their best original movies are Coco and Inside Out, and they didn't do
like
well.
Either of those.
Which I still don't get the Coco one.
I just didn't find it as good as everybody thought it was. It was one of those things where I saw after everybody saw it, and so it was extremely hyped, and so I was expecting something like a masterpiece, and I thought it was okay.
Well, remember, Disney's got that new animated film coming out with Chris Pratt and Tom Holland next year.
I have no idea what you're talking about.
I'll look it up and I'll bring it up next week.
Okay.
But go on as you were saying.
But it's also because, like, for instance, because they have taken like risks with Stephen King, because for instance, like they did Dark Tower. Now, sure, that was a very bad movie, and there should have been people behind that saying, "No, this is crap." This is true, but that's part of the reason. I'm very curious. We'll see how Doctor Sleep does at the end of the year. But that's also a sequel. Like they have a built-in fan base because it's a sequel to to Shining. So
right. So it's not even a new original concept.
Yeah,
It's a sequel to a really old movie
that
that,
it's still beloved, that people
yeah,
still watch like
but
daily.
but do you think Stephen King would give his condolences to the movie? Because he hated the movie version of The Shining, if I remember correctly.
He did.
He hated it. So if Stephen King doesn't give his,
No one
you
will
know,
care.
would it hurt the movie? Do you think?
No, because of how big The Shining actually is. The Shining is one of the biggest horror films to be created.
Okay.
So I don't. I think that one's more, and I'm sure this one. Well, I'm gonna wait and see until more stories and stuff come out of it. There's a few dark elements and things, but I would love like a radar remake, even though it's a remake and things like that, of like The Stand or something like that. Where
Yeah.
it's super disturbing and super like creepy and horrible, and like you don't want to see these things on screen. But I'm very curious to see how someone would bring that to life more than I would be like Salem's Lot. Salem's Lot seems like a cheapskate.
So, do you think the Stephen King flame might die after this year
No.
because of it chapter no with it chapter 2 coming out and then Doctor Sleep? Do you think the Stephen King flame might die if they continue to do movies that no one has real interest in?
Yeah, I say if because obviously it chapter 2 is probably a slam dunk. It's gonna make a lot of
We
money.
won't know until we see a trailer.
It's gonna make a lot of money.
It's not, I completely agree, but that doesn't just because it makes a lot of money
Well,
doesn't mean
we're in
no
this
one's going to go.
standpoint. If they're gonna continue making Stephen King movies, this is all based on money. This is not based on creative choices or
I
anything like that,
know.
which sucks. It sucks. I'm not, but in the question that you brought up, if it chapter 2 does extremely well, like it's expected to, and I'm sure it will, but just because how big the first one is and how cheap these are to make, and then but this one's more expensive because of the cast, but you know what I mean.
Yeah.
And then if Doctor Sleep does really well and even gets nominated for Oscars, which I'm pretty sure why it's in November,
Yeah.
um, then yeah, they'll definitely continue to move forward with Stephen King projects.
So let me give you a scenario then. What if Doctor Sleep tanks? Like no one goes to see it. It doesn't do well with critics, and that's two this year of Stephen King films that did not do well.
But
Uh,
Pet
movie
Cemetery
wise
did
or critic wise,
do really well with the critics.
did it?
Yes, it did. Has an 80% on Rotten Tomatoes.
Oh,
Yeah, or
well, it's
76
fine. It, it,
or
it
something like
didn't
that.
do well money wise though, did it?
No, no, it was the flop.
So what if Mr. Sleep is a flop? Do you think they're going to look at the Stephen King stuff a little bit differently then?
I would say they'd probably get like one more chance to see if maybe it was just because of the movie and
Mm-hmm.
not because of the brand. And if it keeps going downhill, then we'll slowly see it just like go away.
Go away.
Yeah, but
Okay.
right now in horror, it's all about sequels and remakes, and I'm ready for the original content. I'm kind of over the remakes and sequels and things.
Yeah, because you know me. I'm not a very big horror guy. I don't. And there are some horror movies from the 60s, from the 70s, and from the 80s that I hold near dear to my heart. And those are like the slasher movies.
Hmm.
And I'm tired of hearing about this whole Friday the 13th nonsense of them trying to go back and forth with the deal and they can't get the rights. If you can't do it, then just stop trying to do it. Clearly, this is a sign from Jason Voorhees himself not to do it.
Well, it's because Friday the 13th, the remake, which I really enjoy
That's
as
a
a
great movie.
movie, very controversial with the public and the fans
It's a
themselves.
great slasher movie, and Jason's awesome in it.
Well, it's very controversial with the fans. A lot of fans did not like it and things like that. And of course, you have the whole Michael Bay thing that did happen with it.
We
But
don't talk about him.
very true. But with that being said, and things like that, it still did really well. It did really well, and so it's still like a brand. The brand that needs to die, the brand that should die out of respect for the creator himself, is Nightmare on Elm Street.
Is Nightmare on Elm Street.
Yeah.
Because isn't there a rumor going around they're trying to remake it again too?
Yep. And I think it's wrong. And I think it's inappropriate. And I think
No,
it's
it shouldn't.
disrespectful.
It shouldn't. So a trailer dropped this week that I really want to talk about with you. You did a trailer reaction for it, actually. I don't know if you're
I
gonna
am
post
not.
it or not. and that is Ang Lee's Gemini Man. Wow,
Very
it
impressive.
looks good. It looks really good. And the first shot of DH Will Smith kind of threw me off. Like when he's getting bandaged on his arm
Mhm.
and you just see the side of his face. It looked kind of off to me, but the rest of the trailer, it looked great. I think the concept's really cool of how, you made a person to kill this person because this one's superior in every other way. I like that story. I think and the one thing I hate about the trailer was the Forever Young thing. I thought that was stupid. The song in the background, I thought it was
Yeah,
stupid.
I know what you're talking about.
But that's why I think it looks really good. It looks promising. I wasn't expecting it to look that good, and now I'm intrigued.
I particularly really enjoyed it as well. I'm not a huge Will Smith fan.
That I know.
Not the biggest, I will have to say, but I was thoroughly impressed with the visuals. The story, it's okay. I won't lie, I was a little offended because
Woo,
I've
go
already
on.
seen it done once, and it was a very, very well movie. Did not
Which,
do so well.
which one?
Looper.
Oh yeah, Looper's fantastic.
Looper is a fantastical movie, and if you start thinking about it, it's practically the same story, just with somebody else playing the younger version.
You know what? I never really put that in perspective before. That's kind of true.
Yeah.
It's almost the exact same story, beat for beat, of a man hunting himself down. Huh. We'll have to wait and see if they're exact. We'll have to wait and see if they're similar in that kind of aspect.
Also, with Mary Elizabeth Winstead, who I do enjoy as an actress, but with all the controversy and stuff that is around her right now, even though it is kind of dying down, I thought that was really interesting as well as she being in the movie and that she
What
beat out some
controversy?
pretty big. What?
What controversy? I
Oh,
haven't
you
heard
don't
about
you don't know about the controversy?
it. Mm-mm.
So, when here and ironically, Eve McGregor, who got her the role as Huntress, supposedly it's the rumors and stuff in the rumor mill, um, she broke up their marriage. She broke up his marriage with his wife
Huh.
during Fargo.
Huh.
Yeah, it's a big deal. Google it.
I'll look it up.
Yeah, Google it. It's very interesting.
Okay. I just doing the Gemini thing because it sounded interesting. Um, let's talk about because you brought it up earlier. And I think this will lead really well into the spoiler discussion. Let's talk about box office for the weekend. So, how much did it make last night?
$61.2 million.
Jesus Lord.
So, in comparison, because I figured you want other numbers, right?
Yes, please.
So, in comparison to the previous big box office, hold on, give me 1 second.
Okay.
I'm gonna use my phone instead. Because I don't want to tell you the wrong movie,
Yeah.
who has the second biggest box office, but it's like a $30 million difference, if I'm not wrong. It like tarnished like the world record for Thursday night box offices like of all time. So
Believe it.
well, I think this just once again reproves because the numbers were wrong last night from Wednesday from overseas, and it's made $160 million overseas, plus the $60 million is already made last night alone. That does not include any showtimes for today whatsoever. That is just for midnight showings, the normal last night things. It is definitely making $300 million, if not more, this weekend.
I cannot wait to see Monday's numbers. I could not wait to see it.
I am more curious, I will not lie, about next weekend's drop.
I don't think it's going to be that big.
Oh, it's going to be somewhat big just because um, of the fact that it's
Of
going to
the,
be
of
a
the, of
really
the
big
nature of the
opening.
movie, you think?
Huh?
Of the nature of the film, you think it'll be a drop?
Well, I just think because the opening itself is really big.
Yeah.
I can't, hold on, I'm sorry.
You're good.
I just can't find the article that I was looking for. So here it is. I want to tell you the wrong one. So this and it's not as big. I thought it was as bigger. So Avengers Endgame has surpassed. This is from CNN, by the way. If you were curious about the source or whatever. Surpassed the record held by another Disney property, Star Wars: The Force Awakens, which opened with $57 million back in 2015, had never came close to it. Infinity War made $39 million, which is the movie I was thinking of when I said it was like $30 million difference. So there was almost like a $20 million difference between the last movie and this movie. That's how many more people have gotten on the bandwagon of the Avengers movies since then.
Yeah.
And so it is projected to make $305 million domestic here this weekend as its projection rate. That's crazy.
There you are.
Yeah.
But that's just bonkers. It truly is. To see this movie do what it's doing boggles my mind. Okay. I can't contain it anymore.
Before
Are you
we
ready?
jump into spoilers,
Huh?
because I really do think it should be the last topic, because we're gonna spend the most time talking about it, because I have a lot of things I need to ask you about, like a lot of opinions and things. So let's go through our ranking, and then we'll talk about it, okay? I
Do you
think
want
that
to go
makes
first?
the most sense. Yeah, I figured we can start from the bottom and work our way up. I think that's
So do you want? So if you want, you can do your 21 through 11, and then I'll do my 21 through 11, and then you can do your 10 through 1. I'll do my 10 through 1.
Is that how we're gonna do this? I was just gonna figure we'll go back and forth.
No, we can. You can do your 21 through 11, and then I'll do my 21 through 11. You do your 10 through 9, 10 through 1. I'll do my 10 through 1.
That's fine. So I spent a long time figuring out this last night, by the way, because by the time I got down to a certain number, I was like, wow, this is really far down. There's certain movies that are further down my list than I expected, basically. But there is a trend. Tell me if you figured out the trend, because I have one. So my least favorite MCU movie that comes out is it 21 or 22?
It's 22.
Okay. At number 22 is, no shocker between us, is The Incredible Hulk.
Nope, not a shocker.
I think it's like one of the worst movies I've seen in years. So, practically unwatchable. The second worst movie obviously goes with the more appropriate one that people kind of agree with better, and that is For the Dark World. Probably the worst MCU
Although after we
movie.
talked about Endgame, Thor 2 got a lot better for me.
Yes, I do agree. Like I said, it's really interesting the movies they chose.
Yes, I completely agree. Oh, the 3 movies specifically, very interesting.
I was very shocked. I will not lie. I was like, and then also the cameos, which we'll get into, who showed back up for this movie.
Isn't
Also,
fucking impressive.
really shocked. But either way, number 21 is For the Dark World. Hold on, I gotta look at my little screenshot here to make sure I'm telling you the right one. Oh, number 20 is Ant-Man and the Wasp. And then number 19. I cannot keep track of these numbers. Number 19 is Iron Man 2.
Mm-hmm.
Number 18 is Guardians of the Galaxy Volume 2.
Mm-hmm.
And then number 17, is Spider-Man Homecoming.
Ooh.
Is it higher up on the list than you thought, or is it lower on the list than you thought?
Lower on the list than I thought.
I have opinions about that movie. Number 16? Is that where I'm at? Okay. Thank you. I don't have a number. I'm going off by my starting list. 16. It's Black Panther. Number 15. Oh, hold on. Okay, from Spider-Man up, they get moved up. Spider-Man's number 15, Black Panther's number 14, because Avengers Age of Ultron is number 16. Sorry, I messed that up.
That makes more sense.
Yeah, there you go. What number am I going to?
You're 11.
So I'm on 13 now?
Yeah.
13. Hold on, I lost my track. God dang it. Oh, 13 is Doctor Strange.
Mm-hmm.
And then 12 is the original Avengers.
Mm-hmm.
And then 11 is the first Captain America.
Okay. So 22 is Iron Man 2 for me. 21 is Thor: The Dark World. 20 is Ant-Man and the Wasp. 19 is Avengers: Age of Ultron. 18 is Guardians of the Galaxy Volume 2. 17 is Captain America: The First Avenger. 16 is Thor. 15 Iron Man 3. 13 Incredible Hulk. 12 is Ant-Man. 11 is Black Panther.
Oh, right. Okay, sorry. Number 10 is Iron Man 3. That fourth rewatch, wow, it bumped the movie, I tell you.
And honestly, Endgame helps me like Iron Man 3 a lot more now.
Oh, because of the thing that they set up that you don't realize they set up until like this movie, and you're like, oh, okay.
Yeah.
Yeah, okay. Number, huh?
You know what I'm talking about.
Number 9 is 4. Number 8 is the original Iron Man. Even though I'm not a huge fan of it, I have tons of respect for it. So, respect is respect. Number 7 is Guardians of the Galaxy Volume 1, because the rewatch, I tell you. Number 6, are we at 6?
Yeah.
Is The Avengers.
Mm-hmm.
Which one? Accurate. The first one.
Oh.
Yeah, sorry. Oh, right. We haven't said the other ones. Sorry. The original Avengers is number 6.
There's 4 of these now. You have to say titles.
I'm sorry. I'm losing track of the movies that I've said. Oh, number 5. I'm back on track. I recircled myself. It's Captain America: First Avenger.
Mm-hmm.
Number
4.
4 is Civil War.
Mm-hmm.
Number 3 is Captain Marvel.
Mm-hmm.
Number 2 is Captain America: Winter Soldier.
Mm-hmm.
And number 1 is Endgame.
Where was Infinity War on your list?
I missed a number. It's because I don't have the actual numbering. It's right. It's in between Captain Marvel and Winter Soldier.
Gotcha.
Yeah.
So number 10 is Avengers. Number 9, Captain Marvel. Number 8, Guardians number 1. Number 7, Doctor Strange. Number 6, Spider-Man: Homecoming. Number 5, Avengers: Infinity War. Number 4, Thor: Ragnarok. Number 3, hang on. Number 3, Iron Man 2. Number 2 is a tie between Captain America: Winter Soldier and Captain America: Civil War. And number 1 is Avengers: Endgame. If that doesn't tell you what we're about to talk about, get ready.
And now, for anybody who has not seen Avengers Endgame, spoiler, I highly recommend that you officially click off of this video.
Thank you for watching the show up to this point. We hope you come back next week. Okay.
Yep.
Where do you want to start?
We're going to start with the beginning of the movie, as a normal person would normally start.
You're going to make me wait, aren't you?
Technically, the beginning of the movie is very shocking.
Yes. Okay.
This is the beginning. This is the part of the movie that I screamed a curse word at the screen.
So, what we've been predicting about Hawkeye's family was completely correct.
Oh, I'm not talking about Hawkeye. Sorry, I totally forgot about that.
It was a great way to start the movie off because it picks up right where Infinity War ends, but we get to see what happens with Hawkeye. And the way they shot it, of the overhead camera, of the shaky camera following Hawkeye, like looking for his daughter, looking for his wife, and it's just going, ugh.
Which I have to reiterate here, because they did the same exact thing that they did with Ant-Man and the Wasp. Like, the same exact thing that they did. it makes you wonder of why we got Ant-Man and the Wasp as a movie
In general, yes.
instead of just doing this, because Hawkeye's story got all put in the first like 5 minutes of the movie or 3 minutes of the movie. How is that respectful to a character that's been around way longer?
Then, yeah.
Yeah, I don't know.
Okay, but let's get into why Robert Downey Jr. deserves what we talked about. The stuff on the ship made me want to bawl. The scene between him and Nebula doing the table football is just funny. And you won. Congratulations. That was fun. Her monotone voice just works so well in this. And then they do the scene from the opening of the first teaser for the movie where he's talking to the helmet. And just looking at it, just looking at his physicality, with how much weight he's lost, the way he looks, and then when he's done recording, he just lays down and goes to sleep. And it's a perfect metaphor for the rest of the movie with him. I'm holding it together. Just watching him lay there on the ground and then seeing Nebula pick him up and put him in the seat and cover him up, put her hand on his shoulder and just look at him and go, oh, just, and then how do they get home? Perfect way to bring in this Brie Larson.
It was a very, very short role in this movie, by the way.
Which is fine. It makes sense in the movie why she has such a short role. It makes sense. So then from there we go back to Earth, and I'm gonna let you take this part over because talking about this scene that we're about to talk about with Robert in Avengers HQ makes me want to cry, and I don't want to cry right now because I'm gonna lose it towards the end of this discussion. So you take over. So this scene is just hard to watch.
So they come back down, and he embraces with Pepper, which is really cute, but it's something we have seen before. It's nothing new.
And then Nebula and Rocket get together and have that moment of, Solomon saying everybody's gone.
All things that we have seen before. Nothing too new to our eyes. There's a lot of new stuff here, but nothing right there. The whole last hour.
Oh.
Practically completely new.
A little bit. Go on.
Sorry, my brain's stuck on one scene.
I know what scene you're talking about.
We'll get there. We're not there yet.
We'll get there.
And so he gets taken into the facility. He is very, very malnourished. He has an IV bag feeding him fluids, and he looks completely horrible. I'm so happy that they totally did not show us any of this, as they could have shown us a sign in the trailer, but they digitally edited him to look like normal Robert Downey Jr. Then they digitally edited a version that we got in the movie of him being so scaly and skinny and things like that. I very, very much enjoyed that. And then also, because from the trailer standpoint, you think they get along, like him and Cap are like going to be best buds right off the bat. I'm very, very happy that they are not, and that they do have the altercation of where he is screaming at him, said, "This is your fault. You were not there. I tried fighting him. If we were together, we could have won."
And then he calls him a liar, just a straight liar and a traitor. And I'm like, this is why Civil War is so important.
And when he takes off his Iron Man
chest, he rips off that thing and like, here, next time you fight him, you wear it. You wear it next time you have to go fight him. You wear it. And he just falls. Rhodey's there trying to catch him like, dude, calm down. It's okay. No, I'm fine. I need to let this out, and just collapses. It's just.
But that's not the big part here.
No.
The big part, which I'm scream death scream, was the fact that Thanos has reused the Infinity Stones 2 days ago, and he is on this planet. Now, this planet.
What a great captain. Let's go get this son of a bitch.
I thought it was really funny how many times he actually did curse in this movie.
He cursed a lot in this movie.
Yeah, which I found was really interesting. It really shows the character developing.
As matured throughout the series.
But, and so Nebula's like, oh yeah, I totally know where he went. He went to the garden. And Rhodey's response, oh, so he has a retirement plan.
Rhodey had some of the best lines in this movie.
And of course, so they go to go find him. They figure out the planet he's on, and they all, it's that funny scene of like, who's not been in space yet? Because they're, then they go in space. Captain Marvel goes down to look and see where he's at, and I
love her reaction when she comes up. So what's it look like down there? There's no defenses, there's no army, no nothing. It's just him. I love her reaction.
I absolutely love, because I'm a sucker for Thanos, I have to say. I've really enjoyed his character. And there's nothing wrong with that. You can love your villain as much as you hate your villain.
I love Thanos. He's the best MCU villain ever.
He got
solidified in the last hour of the movie. He's the best MCU villain.
Huh?
He got solidified in the last hour. He's the best MCU villain.
I would say there's only been like 2 or 3 villains that I've actually been scared for our protagonists, a part of the movie. Iron Man 3, it always terrifies me that somebody's going to die in that movie.
And then Killmonger.
And then Killmonger was such a great villain as well. But I still have problems with that third act. It had nothing to do with him. It's because the third act's whack. But
Thanos is just...
Thanos, I love the slow moment. I love how he's going, he's collecting food, he's making food.
And you can tell he's still hurt from using the stones again, because he's just creeping up the stairs. And he looks that
he's like in peace, that he's happy. That he's
Which is terrible.
Huh?
Which is terrible.
But it's not. I can understand where you're coming from, and I can understand where a lot of people are coming from, to be honest. This is a very, very negative, unpopular opinion. And I get that. But it's like,
it's
okay.
Terrible. The man's sitting there going, I did it.
For instance, the feeling he's feeling of snapping his fingers and committing mass genocide is like how I feel when I finish a book.
It's over.
No, it's accomplishment. I completed my goal, which was to finish the book, type thing. And so, like, I understand. I thought it was like,
you're comparing mass genocide to finishing a book.
If it means anything, the book's not about mass genocide.
It doesn't help.
I have another one that's up there that it is, though.
Anyway, so anyway, the Avengers go down. Well, actually, first, Captain Marvel comes down and just blasts the shit out of him in this hut. Holds him back, and I forget who asked for the stones first. Is it Thor? Is it Thor or Steve? I think it's Thor that asked for the stones first. Is it Thor?
No, it's Steve.
Is it Steve?
Steve.
And then Thanos says they're gone, and Natasha goes, "What do you mean they're gone?"
Well, no.
Was it Natasha?
No, you're right. Natasha, once again, because no one believes him, asks, where are the stones? And then he reiterates, I did it. And she's like, no, you used them 2 days ago. And he's like, to destroy them. They are no longer.
The stones to get rid of the stones.
Yeah.
And then well, we forgot to mention this. When they first come into the hut, Thor cuts off the arm with the Infinity Gauntlet, and they look on the gauntlet, and the stones aren't there.
Yeah, that's why they're asking, because they thought they solved their problem, and yet.
Then Thor decided to do what he did, and that was the first gasp moment of my theater. Is when Thor proceeded to use Stormbreaker, and you want to say it?
Yes, I do.
Say it.
He cut off his head.
He just.
Which is a throwback to aim for the arm or aim for the head. From
I love what Thor says, and because Steve asked, "What did you do?" He's like, "I aimed for the head."
And I really, really love how this particular moment truly messes him up.
We find out how much it messes him up.
It's one of those things they didn't show us in the trailer.
Oh, it's so good. Korg.
We're getting too far ahead. So,
and then we get the 5.
Yeah, and then we jump 5 years later.
I love how they did that, by the way, the 5 years later. Just to let you know how much time has passed since that.
But I do want to mention this is the point in the movie where my whole entire theater is gasping because he died, by the way, because Thanos has died, and it's 5 years later, and we're all gasping, and they're all like, "What the fuck?" So, just wanting to point that out. That is that moment in the theater where I got up and I screamed, "No! What is going on?" Then I sat back down.
Where's the rest of your movie? And boy, did they have more movie.
And so then we start with Black Widow 5 years later at the compound. No,
we start with Tony. We start with Steve.
yeah, I didn't really like the scene. That's why I skipped it in my brain.
But no, we start off with Steve doing basically like a therapy session with everybody trying to get over still what happened 5 years ago with the snap. And Joe Russo, one of the directors, he's the guy that's talking so much.
Yeah,
He plays the first LGBTQ
LGBTQIA.
character in the MCU. Huh?
LGBT.
Yeah. He plays the first character for that, which is cool. And the other cool thing too, because I'm gonna throw out Easter eggs while we're talking about this. The creator of Thanos is sitting next to Joe Russo from the comics. The guy who created Thanos is in that room talking to him. And so basically, they're all talking about, I had a good day today. Joe Russo's character, I had a good day today. I had a date with this guy, went really well. And Steve was like, "That's great. You went for it." And then Steve goes, if we all don't try to keep up with what's going on, then Thanos should have snapped all of us out of existence. We just got to keep trying. And then we go to, I'm going to let you handle all the Black Widow stuff because
you want to make me cry.
Yes. So talk about Natasha's, by the way, Captain Marvel, love the hair.
Which is really funny because people have been asking if she would ever cut her hair into like the mohawk that she is supporting into the in the comics right now. So I found that was really, really interesting.
And she did.
And that she did. I am wondering if it was digitally done that way or if
I don't think so.
Just because she filmed the movies, and so I'm assuming that's why I don't like her hair in Captain Marvel in her own movie because it's a wig. Is my assumption is that it's a wig.
It makes more sense now if it's a wig.
And at the beginning of the movie, where they're coming back from getting Tony and stuff, is her actual hair.
Yeah.
And then she cuts it. Is my assumption. Sorry, we don't need to talk about hair, but
It looks awesome.
So there's this council meeting, so everybody's gone off into their own locations. So it's Rocket and Nebula, right? Rocket and Nebula?
Rocket's on his own, and so is Nebula. No. Rocket and Nebula are together.
Yeah, that's what I thought. So Rocket and Nebula are together. Then you have Rhodey, and then you also have Captain Marvel. Is that it?
Rhodey, Nebula, Captain Marvel, Rocket. Yeah, because Rhodey's in Mexico.
Yeah, I'm not there yet. I'm just making sure I got the lineup right.
Yeah.
And so they're all giving their own order. So like,
they're basically giving a debrief to Natasha about what's going on across the universe.
Yeah, because Natasha feels that she believes that she has to protect the whole entire universe because of this one thing that happened, which is just so sad. Okay.
So watching her slowly eat a peanut butter sandwich, I never thought watching somebody eat a peanut butter sandwich would make me so sad.
Well, it's simple, like just the fact that you can tell she's like there's tears. Scarlett Johansson is an excellent actress, but I don't believe that we've seen anything like we saw.
Natasha looked emotionally drained. She looked like she was just done.
This is probably the best I've ever seen.
Yes.
Scarlett Johansson in this role, which is deservedly so. This is probably the best movie they have given her so far. So I'm really, really looking forward to Black Widow, the movie. We'll talk about speculation.
We'll talk about that when we get to the...
Yeah, we're at the end of this. We'll talk about speculations and theories about going forward with Phase 4 and Phase 3 with, Spider-Man or whatever. But that's the point. And
it's so nice to look at Spider-Man stuff now and not go, well, that kind of... No, it doesn't.
Well, now it's really interesting because our theory doesn't actually technically make sense.
No, it doesn't. Go on.
That's the interesting part.
Yes, so go on.
And so each person gives their own thing about the galaxy. It's okay, and Captain Marvel's like, there's always bad things happening. I'm here. So you can't really expect me to tell you an honest opinion that you want to hear, type thing. Which is being respectful and, type thing. And then Rhodey is like, Rhodey tells him about this thing that happens in Mexico about all these cartel people being dead. she says, "Oh, it's probably your rival gang," and he's like, "No, it's him." We all, and you can tell in her eyes she starts to cry a little, like not fully tearing up
No.
yet. We're getting there. That
We're
hasn't
getting there.
happened yet.
I love what she says to Rhodey. I love what she says to Rhodey.
And she's like, because Rhodey's like, should we really be doing this? Should we really be keeping an eye on him and doing, And she's like, can you please just let me know when you find him next? Like, just, and it still gives me cold chills.
And then Rhodey goes, Natasha, and then she goes, please. And he's
And
like, all right, and then goes away. And I just, it just shows the connection between these two and why they set it up so beautifully in the first Avengers with the Budapest thing. You're just connected to these two. The stuff on the farm in Age of Ultron, the Civil War stuff in Civil War. It's just, you feel it. And so that
like,
makes the stuff towards the middle of the movie so much more.
Not there yet, Zachary. Not ready to cry yet, Zachary.
I'm not ready to cry yet.
But I think it's very important to mention that in her point of her life right now, she feels like she has lost everybody. She feels like she has lost everything. That this is her family. That it is her job, her duty to get back her family in any shape, or form. And she can't do that, and she needs to protect everybody in her power because that was what she believes. And so that makes what happens later on just so much more sad, but also satisfying in a way.
Yes.
Because I think
that word was used a lot during this discussion. Satisfying.
Yeah,
that word was used a lot.
Especially towards the last half of the movie.
So we go from that to Steve coming in from his meeting, and he's trying to say something optimistic, and Natasha's like, if you try to get my hopes up, I'm going to throw the sandwich at your face. And Steve's like, fair enough. and then Steve gives that great speech about, I'm telling my best to tell everybody just to move on, but not us. And then, so this is where the first time I saw the trailer manipulation was in this scene. Because you remember in the teaser, we see her with the blonde hair, just straight blonde hair, saying that's new footage. When in reality, it's the 5 years later mark, and we see. Well, actually, no. Go back a little bit. We need to go to Scott when he gets back.
Oh yeah.
So I'll take over for this part. We'll go back and forth for scenes that each of us want to talk about. So the Scott stuff for me, I love Ant-Man. I love Ant-Man a lot. I love Scott Lang. I love Scott Lang. I love Paul Rudd in this role. His reaction to coming home from being in there for 5 years is perfect. But the best part about this entire scenario was him looking for that name. I'm not going to say the name yet because it leads into the scene with that name. Looking for that name. He goes to the house, knocks on the door, and who do we see but teenage Cassie? Her reaction to seeing her dad. Because her believing that he was gone, it was so good. That hug felt so genuine. We've only seen this person playing older Cassie this one time.
It
felt like the 5-year wait of him coming home poignant. The hug felt so and seeing Paul Rudd just tear up from seeing his daughter because he was stuck in the quantum realm for so long. And so from then we go to the trailer part where he's knocking on the door saying, "Hey, it's Scott. You remember me from Germany? I'm the Giant Man, Ant-Man. I know you know that." And they go, "Is that new footage?" It's from the front camera. And then we get into Scott's idea. Take it from here.
So Scott was obviously in the quantum realm.
Quantum suits. We guessed it.
In the quantum realm, and he had said that as it has been 5 years out here, it was like 5 hours or something.
5 hours, yeah.
Yeah, something like that. It's a very, very short amount of time because time in there works differently. Now, to be honest, with this review, we're not going to really talk about so much about the time travel stuff. We're going to talk about the elements, but it really, when you start really thinking about it, it's really convoluted.
Yes.
And it's really not really thought out really well.
It's cool.
It's cool, but it's like cool.
Yeah.
So I love the movie so much that I don't want to find problems and flaws with it. And if there's any flaw that I can personally pick out,
I agree with time traveling stuff.
It's the time traveling stuff. Just because there's several things that happen.
It's all there is to it. Time travel is hard to do in anything. because you're drawing they bring it up when they're talking about the time travel thing. You're drawing a fine line and trying to fix something and then causing an actual reality on what actually happens.
And then also, like, it's really weird because they make such a big deal about not being able to change things, but when they do things that would change the future, there is no repercussions for the things that they did, which I found.
I want to get in that with Captain at the end of the movie.
And also Nebula.
Yes.
Both those characters did interesting things with their original self. We're getting really far ahead of ourselves, but do interesting
I don't
things.
mean about that. I mean about Cap at the end.
Yeah. Like that alone, it's really, really cool sequence. But when you really start to think about it, and the science and the logic that we were put in force,
it looks like nothing changed at all from when he comes back and he's just sitting there. But we'll get to that when we get to that.
Yeah.
Anyway, so Scott comes up with this idea to do time travel, go back in time, get the stones to bring everybody back. So then we go to this random cabin in the woods. Yeah.
He's outside already. We know it's Iron Man's house.
Yeah. No, we see Tony, but he's going to this tent, and we're like, what's the tent for? Out pops this little Iron Man, and what comes off the helmet is his daughter. And I'm like, it's so cute. It's so cute.
I like the idea of him having a kid.
Yes.
I just don't like the kid actor they chose.
I agree with that too. Everybody's having issues with the kid actor that they chose. But I like her though, for a simple fact that she feels innocent. Like she's not trying to sell anything. She seems like an innocent little girl who loves her dad so much. Or as I like to say, she loves her 3000. I'm not gonna cry. I'm not gonna cry. So Tony picks up Morgan, which is her name. Beautiful name, by the way.
I'll talk about it. It's okay. I'm not going to cry during.
Thank you. Please take it. Oh.
So he picks her up. He takes her inside.
Oh.
And well, actually, he doesn't take her inside.
Tony, Natasha, and Scott show up.
Not Tony. Chris.
Sorry, Steve.
Natasha
and Skate.
Natasha and
Scott.
Scott, thank you. I blanked really hard. They all show up, and he takes in, Morgan or whatever. They sit down and have a conversation. Tony is not for the idea of time travel at all. In his offense, he came to a realization. He had to love his wife, which he was really scared. He got lucky. He got really lucky.
In the snap, him and Pepper got very lucky.
And we are missing a very, very smaller detail, though. The helmet that little Iron Man had on was the rescue helmet. It plays a bigger part later on in the movie, so we just should mention it, that it exists. There's this thing in the garage that exists that's really, really cool.
It's fantastic.
But I'm getting ahead of myself.
Yes, you are. Oh, that ending.
Sorry, the last hour just deserves to be talked about.
But go on.
Why is it 3 hours long?
And I love what Tony says to Scott. Are you really trying to pull a Back to the Future? Is that what you're trying to do here? And Scott's like, no. He's like, I'm glad you're not, because it sounds crazy.
And so that doesn't work. Tony shuts down the idea. I'm giving it so this video is not like 9 hours long. Tony shuts it down real fast, and they leave.
And who do they go to?
Probably one of the best characters in this movie.
They hid this so well because in the entire trailers and posters only showed the one thing, not this. This is Dr. Hulk.
Well, Professor Hulk. It's not Dr. Hulk in this. It's Professor Hulk.
Oh, that's so scene.
I will tell you this much: being one of the gay community, Professor Hulk is definitely very, very, very hot for being a green dude.
Oh, the selfie scene. Oh, remember, are you sure they really want to take a selfie with you? Come on, take the selfie. Take the selfie. All right, kill say it. Remember, stay green.
It's almost like he made a whole life for himself about being the Hulk. He's like the spokesperson.
I love how he describes it. It took me 5 years, but I realized, Hulk's not a disease. He's just a way of life. He sounds like a hippie when he talks about it. And they're like, so, Bruce, can you help? He's like, it's not part of my strategy. I don't know anything about this, but let's give it a whirl. I love Hulk so much in this movie.
So Hulk agrees, and then going back to the
What do we call him? What do we call him? We call him Bruce or Hulk?
Hulk. I'm gonna call him Hulk. Yeah.
Hulk.
Yeah. Sorry, Bruce. You're no longer with us.
Oh, and he's wearing shirts now. There's a great thing with the shirts.
We're not there yet, but it was an excellent scene. So, okay. What is okay? So then they
go and test the quantum realm thing with Scott. Yeah. They test the quantum of going back and forth in time with Scott with Hulk.
Well, no, I'm trying to figure out if that's what happens next, or do they call Nebula in them, or is it not until they actually get?
It's not until after that. So after they get Hulk, they go back to Avengers HQ and they bring the dirty van in. Which, remember that van? That van is important.
We're assuming you have seen the movie. We're just doing a play-by-play.
This movie makes Ant-Man the Wasp the most important film to watch before you see Endgame. It just does, and I love that. And so Dr. Hulk's like, I think we're good. And Steve's like, are you sure about this? And Hulk's like, absolutely not. We're ready. And they send Steve back, and they send Scott back, and he comes back and forth as a kid, as an adult, and as a baby, and back again. He's like, I think my past self peed on me, or my adult self. I don't know.
Or maybe me.
And Hulk's like, time travel.
And then, so obviously, the only person who found that as a win was Hulk. Everybody else found that as a loss because you don't want to send them back and then come back as babies. It's understandable.
Hulk was like, success.
And so Captain America goes outside and he's sitting there contemplating everything. And then, side note, we did skip a whole thing. So Tony Stark ended up actually really liking the idea and making the time travel.
Which I did not like this at all. How quick he figured out time travel. I didn't like that at all. That's the funniest things with his kid. He's like, shit. He looks over. Oh, no. He's like, what are you doing up? Shit. What do you want? A popsicle? A popsicle sounds good. You know that's extortion, right? And that leads into the beautiful line of him talking to his daughter and going, I love you. He's like, no, I love you 3,000. Go on.
Would they say back to each other? Can you repeat it one more time?
I don't want to.
I love you 3,000.
Yeah, they did.
So
that was mean.
What?
That was mean.
What was mean?
Making me repeat what they said.
No, what? You're gonna have a lot of fun when I start crying.
So Jake, how about that Black Widow, huh?
You know what, Zachary? There's a line. Do not cross it.
All right, and then so they do that with Scott, and then what everybody's dubbing the taco scene happens when Scott goes to sit down and eat the taco, and he's trying to eat it, and then the Guardian ship comes down, and the taco just goes, and he's like, Rhodey, and then Nebula's like, Rhodey, be warned, there's a squeamish guy out here sitting down eating a taco.
There's an idiot.
Oh, and then Rhodey lands, and it scares the shit out of Scott, and then Hulk just comes over and goes, here, have 2 of mine. It was funny. So from this point, I think we go to the Ronin stuff, I think. Right? All right. I think from this point we go, so you can take over now because it's Natasha and Clint.
We are skipping ahead.
Do they get Thor first, or do they get Ronan
Yeah,
first?
they go get Thor first.
Oh, so we go to New Asgard, don't we?
Okay. Because they land, and Rocket looks at Hulk and says, "Are you coming?" And they go and they ride on the truck, and it's like cute little montage with Rocket and Hulk.
The music of them riding in the truck and they going da 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 da, da, and everybody looking at the truck going, okay.
And so they go to New Asgard, which I really, really liked how it was over in
Norway, because
Norway.
of what Odin said to Thor. This would be a nice place. Asgard's not a place; it's a people, and this would be really good for the people. And Thor took that kind of too literally.
So we get there and we figure out that Valkyrie is practically running the place
Oh,
for
leave her.
one thing, and one thing only, that is alcohol. And then we figure out that he lives on a hill, and so we go up to the hill.
And he's
And
got buddies.
this is another one of those shots that they end up changing from the trailer. They digitally edited out Hulk when Rabbit
Rocket opens the door.
when Rocket opens the door, which I thought was really cool. That was one of my favorite shots of the trailer. Then having Hulk there made it even
Matter.
better. And they get in there, and well, you see, Thor.
Bloated Thor.
Thor's kind of has a 12-pack belly, not even like a 6-pack belly. It's like a 12-pack belly and a beard the size of like it's.
I love how they hit this.
And it's not like the belly goes away either. The belly's there the whole time.
Until the end.
Huh?
Until the end. For the final battle, it's gone. And then
Really?
yeah. No,
No.
after when he puts on the suit to fight Thanos, the gut's
No,
not.
it's there. You have to pay attention. They made the suit, and he has a bigger belly.
Oh,
When you see it again, watch it, because I was looking at the poster, because I was talking about for my non-spoiler review, and I was looking at the poster and things like that. His own poster, you can kind of slightly see how they enlarged the belly on the poster. It was hilarious.
oh, but the best part of this entire scene, Thor's great. Korg meek. Thor, there's someone on my game making fun of me. Spam Master 69. I will come there and kick your butt. Well, yes, go cry to your father. They're playing Fortnite.
So are you guys here to fix the television? My cable is really active now.
The password's over there. Go connect to the Wi-Fi. But then but then it gets serious with Thor and Hulk. He's like, "We need you, man, because of Thanos." And he's like, "Never say that name again." And then Korg's like, "Oh yeah, we don't say that name here because we don't say that name. That's all."
And so the way they end up getting him to come back,
It's funny.
is Rocket is like, "We have beer."
What kind?
And so then we lead into the next scene, which I would say this is the scene that you can go take a bathroom break. Is this scene?
Which is
and
what?
that is the scene of where they are talking about all the different Infinity Stones and like.
No. That's not yet.
Yeah, is it?
No, they have to get Ronan first before they do that. Because Clint's in the
yeah.
What happens next is them talking about the time travel thing, and they make fun of all those movies, including Hot Tub Time Machine.
Yep. And so then they go and they get Rodan. Rodan is killing people. I frankly didn't like this scene.
This is the scene I was talking about. I didn't like this scene at all.
I wasn't a huge fan of the scene. I still think it's important. I don't think you should skip it.
There's a reason why. Is because they teased this whole Ronan thing in the trailer so much. He's Ronan for 5 minutes. And then he's back to being Hawkeye again.
I don't think that's true.
He doesn't feel like the Ronan character throughout the rest of the movie.
I think
until a certain point hits, then he feels like the Ronan character again. But after they grab him, he goes back to being the comedy guy.
But I think I don't see. Here's the thing: Ronan in the comics is much different than Ronan in this movie. Ronan in the comics has no sense of humor. He's very blunt, very dry. Whereas this is still Hawkeye. This is just sad and depressed Hawkeye who wants to rid the world of all evil. And they happen to name him Ronan.
I don't think they executed it very well with this.
No, it was really rushed. Like I said, I would enjoy the whole movie.
It was very the fight choreography was good,
But I
but
didn't like the directing very well.
no.
I don't personally. I think this is the wrong time to use a long shot to go up and throughout the building. It was I
Yeah.
just did not like it. But the scene I did like though was Scarlett Johansson showing up with the umbrella because honestly, she is the word. The reason why I believe Ronan was a lot to do with Black Widow and how much Black Widow sold this whole entire thing. Her tears in her eyes saying, "You need to come home. You know, we have a plan." And he's like, "You can't give me hope. You know, please don't give me hope." And she's like, "I'm sorry. It's been like you can tell it in her face that she is super sad that she is part of the reason why he is the way he is, her best friend in the whole world, because she could not figure out a plan until now."
And
And
I love what she says to him is that killing all these people is not going to bring them back. She's completely right. What he's doing is not going to bring them back. It's just going to make him feel better for like 5 minutes, and then want to go do it again.
hey, just like genocide.
Yeah. Way to bring that back. So then we get to one of my first favorite scenes with Jeremy in this movie is when he goes back in time.
We're gonna be heads over.
No, we're not.
Wow. Okay. You.
After they get Renner,
Oh. Yep.
Renner,
Yep.
they Renner says that he'll try the watch for the first time, and so they send him back. And when he goes back to the farmhouse, and he hears his daughter, and he is trying so hard to see her right before he goes, and he goes, and he comes back, and his face is so genuine. It works. It really works. And now we get to the scene where you think that you can leave.
Yes. So once after this scene, you can probably go. It's basically a rehash of previous things that we have seen before. They're trying to figure out the right time. Now, I
love how they try to figure this out. All of us in this room at one time or another have had some kind of incursion with an Infinity Stone. We now have to pick the point of the best times to go get each stone.
and which what I really enjoyed, and like I said, this is practically me until we get to a certain point. I'll stop gushing about Black Widow when Black Widow, will get there. But until then, I'm gonna keep gushing about Black Widow at any point in time that I can say Black Widow was a part of the scene. You see my point being here? So the fact that she was so avid about writing down every tiny detail, that she didn't miss one single thing, that none of this went wrong, was just when they're laying on the table.
Yes, I love with Hulk on the floor, with Tony next to Natasha, and then discussing the scepter. I was like, it feels like an Iron Man sequel with the three people I want to see in an Iron Man sequel: Black Widow, Iron Man, and Hulk. It was awesome. But the funniest scene in this, you okay?
Yeah, fine.
The funniest scene is in its entire montage, and this is why I think you should pee during it, is because of the scene with Thor talking about the ether. No, it's not Thor. It's Scott's reaction.
I know what you're talking about. It's not
great ether.
Scott's like,
he's so into it.
Everybody's like, maybe we should just take a little break, and he's just like, no, fine.
No, I'm good.
You're not.
He's not.
You're not fine. You're not fine at all.
Oh. So then they pick the teams that go do their things. So if I remember correctly, Hulk.
I can tell you the exact teams.
Huh?
I can tell you the teams.
Hulk, Ant-Man, Captain America, and Iron Man go to New York to get the scepter.
Or in 2012.
2012 to go get the scepter and the Tesseract. Nebula and Rhodey go back to go get the Power Stone from Korag, and then Black Widow and Hawkeye go to Nidavellir to get which honestly I don't know why I didn't see it coming beforehand when they said the Soul.
Oh, I knew.
And so those are the teams going into and then Rocket and Thor go back to Asgard to get the ether from Jane, which we'll get into that. So where do you want to start first with the teams? Do you want to go ahead and get New York out of the way and then lead into? Because I want to leave Black Widow for last because honestly it's the most important. Oh no, the Korag one with Nebula is more important, but the emotional beat is in the one with Nidalee.
No, I believe, even though for story aspect points, if we're trying to hit all the marks, I'm talking about all the big story points. Yeah, Nevi would probably be the bigger story point here, just because of the whole, like, final
Thanos.
third and things. Yeah, Thanos, I guess, is the best answer. But I would say for heroic moments and actually being a superhero, and actually for the definition of a superhero, Black Widow's moment is so much better and so much, like, higher up on the list.
My two favorite adventures in the time heist. I love the fact they call it time heist. My two favorite things are the New York stuff and the Black Widow stuff. We kind of delved into it a little bit with the Hulk. So Bruce sees himself in 2012, and he's like, "Well, I guess I gotta be like that guy." Rips his shirt off and is going around this little area going, "Grrr, smash."
Yeah,
and then lifts up the motorcycle and just tosses it and goes, grrr.
What I really, really love about this is that he's so used to wearing like full clothes that when he takes off his shirt, he's like, I feel so naked, or something like that. It's so funny.
This leads to the first cameo of the movie, and that is Miss Tilda Swinton as the Ancient One coming back. What a shock seeing her. But this makes you wonder, where was she in New York?
So yeah, they bring up
the entire fiasco. Where was she at?
But if we're being honest here, I love the cameo so much, I'm not going to dive into it. My friends be like, okay.
And so Bruce goes to talk to the Ancient One to get the Time Stone, and they bring up some very important things about Doctor Strange in that conversation, which I thought was awesome. And so then Tony
we also talk about the big thing in the room.
What?
That conversation leads to a very big conversation that leads to a very interesting character development at the end of this movie.
Yes. So then we get to Tony and Ant-Man getting the Tesseract from when, and this is where 2012 Hulk has the scene with the stairs. I'm like, weight capacity, buddy. Hulk don't like stairs. Don't want to take stairs. And he's going down. I hate stairs. And so then, but the best moment in the New York stuff is with Cap in the elevator. This really, if you're a comic fan, this scene means a lot more to you. So in order for Steve to get out of and everybody thought they're doing Winter Soldier. They're doing Winter Soldier. It's going to be an elevator fight again. Nope. He just leans over to Siplo and goes, Hail Hydra, and gets the scepter and leaves. Bro, moment, good to go. But then they lead into the Cap on Cap fight.
Well, I really, really enjoyed the Hail Hydra scene in particular. Not because he says Hail Hydra. Yeah, it's a good shout out and things like that to not Secret Invasion. You know what I'm talking about, that whole storyline that I didn't particularly like in the comics, but it was still an interesting, I guess, plot device. I really liked it because it really showed how much Captain America developed from Winter Soldier alone. Whereas if he was the same character he was in Winter Soldier, he would have beat them all up and grabbed the tools.
But now he's a strategist. He knows that he has to do this specifically in this way, so that way no one knows what's going on. But then, of course, when you run into yourself, there's nothing else you can do.
And this is a very, very cool sequence, but it also goes back to the whole time travel thing that we just mentioned before, where we're just like, if you see yourself and you poke yourself with the scepter, shouldn't that change something about you?
A little bit.
I just feel like there's something here that they decide, no, we're not going to deal with.
But it also leads to one of Steve's best lines in the movie where he's looking down on himself and going, that is America.
Oh, yeah, that is a recurring joke that is going on, is that he has the best ass, because Iron Man's like, oh, I'm sorry, Steve. These pants do not make you have a good ass. And he's like,
so no. When he fights himself, he goes, that is America's ass, and then leaves. It works so well. And then we get more with, so we find out, so this also leads into stuff. So Robert Redford comes back
as Alexander appears and goes, "We'll take the case from you." And then Ant-Man is inside Tony. He's like, "Are you sure this is going to work? It's going to make me go into a little bit of cardiac arrest. Nothing big. Nothing big. It might kill me, but I'm okay." So Ant-Man literally pulls the plug on Iron Man. They drop the case, and then all of a sudden, boom! Hulk don't like stairs. And this was the perfect time for Loki to go and do his own show. I mean, take the Tesseract and go away. There's your Loki show.
Where did he go? What adventures did he go on? Oh, you'll find out.
On
And
Disney
Disney
Plus.
Plus service sometime soon.
I love that. I love how Loki's like, "Thank
It
you."
was
And
such a good Loki moment. Like
Huh?
it was such a
It was
good
such a Loki moment.
Loki moment.
You just like,
Because Loki was the person being like, surrounding the server, looking
Yeah.
around and being like,
And then 2012 Thor has that moment like, "I don't know if this is gonna work. It might work. We're gonna try it." Boom. It worked.
I thought you were gonna die.
I love how much of the new Thor from Chris Hemsworth is bleeding into his other Thor roles now. Like, the man's so funny. Let him work with it. So then, from then on, we take a break from Tony and Cap for a little bit because they figure out that, if they can't get the Tesseract from now, they can go back to somewhere else and get it. And I love how Man's like, "Steve, Tony, Steve, what do you guys talk? Steve, Tony, what are you guys talking about?
You're missing something, Zachary.
What am I missing?"
The Hulk stuff.
Oh, talking about, taking one stone out, ripple in time, but if you put the stone back, everything's fine. That's basically it.
No, it doesn't matter if that's basically it.
Oh, we should say about Doctor Strange.
No. Let me explain it. Because obviously you're not getting at what I'm trying to put down. Okay? So they have the conversation before the Doctor Strange thing, which I thought was funny. It's like, is it a Martha? Is your mother's name Martha too?
Oh,
That's what went through my head. But either way, so they have this conversation about you have to put the stones back. If you don't, then my role could be different.
Yeah.
You're leaving us all up to doom. This is extremely important for the third act. These lines alone change a character's whole entire fate. And you're missing over it, and I just can't believe you missed over it.
Oh, wait, yeah. Okay, yeah, sorry. We're not talking about the third act, so I don't really think about the third act yet.
And so he was like, he's like, why? And he's like, because Doctor Strange, gave it away. Why would he give it away?
And her reaction to hearing that is priceless. Like, what do you mean? Like, he just gave it to him. And then that makes her go, he must have done it for a reason. And she's like, God, I hope you're right. We're all counting on you, Bruce. Way to put that on the Hulk. Here you go. So then from there, we take a break from New York and Tony, and then we go to Asgard, which this scene helps Thor the Dark World so much. For two reasons. A, Natalie Portman comes back.
Also, I want to mention, because when we were talking about what movies you should watch and what movies you shouldn't watch, like what movies you're allowed to skip, I kept telling you, no, Zachary, For the Dark World's important. It has the ether. And you're like, they don't do anything with it.
You were right. And so we get Natalie Portman and his mother back, which was just like, Natalie Portman? The woman who had so much not fun on the set of Thor the Dark World, like, I'll come back for this short scene. Like, thank you.
This just shows how much they love the MCU as a whole and how much they wanted to be a part of this send-off letter.
Because whether or not these people are in the rest of the films, they're a part of this universe. So it's important that the connective tissue is there. I want there to be a piece on the Blu-ray when it comes out about the Russos talking about how they got each of these people to come back for their roles. I really want to know how they did it. Because it's beautiful. Because then, why this makes Thor the Dark World so important to me now is the moment between Thor and his mom. Because in Thor: The Dark World, he doesn't get that moment with his mom. It is a beautiful moment of her telling her son, you know what? Just because people tell you to be this one thing, you should be whatever you need to be. And please eat a salad.
I love how Rabbit's like, I got it. We gotta go.
Oh yeah, Rocket goes. He just goes bursting out. Thor, we gotta go. We gotta go. We gotta go.
So that's there. They leave. They get to go home.
Yeah, they get the ether. They go. Oh no! Bigger thing with that. Important. What does Thor get there?
Oh yeah, Thor also grabs Mjolnir, but
Which
also
is important to the ending of the movie. If you can't remember this yet, people, the ending of this movie is important.
it is important, but it also brings up that question that we're going to bring up every time something like this happens. Of like, that was changing the past in a big way of stealing Mjolnir from a younger
Thor. Like, so when Thor holds his hand out in the Dark World now to fly, like, what comes to him?
Like, it brings up so many bigger questions and smaller questions. Like, that would change something, but not according to this rules. There isn't any, because they use it as a plot device, and they didn't really understand what they're doing. It's okay. I'll digress. This movie's amazing. It's still one of my favorite movies of all time. So it's okay. We'll let time travel be time travel. So we move on, and I guess we'll talk about Rhodey and Nebula.
Yeah, let's do. Okay, so I talked about Rocket and Thor. You talked about Nebula and Rhodey.
Well,
So
I'll talk about everything that takes place. We'll go from Rhodey to Nebula to Hawkeye and Natasha and Romanoff, and I'll talk about both of those. Okay.
Okay.
So Rhodey and Nebula are there, and so is Natasha and
basically they split up.
Yeah, they split up. They came together. The four of them came together, and because it was easier to go to
right to 2014 instead of Natasha and Clint trying to go to 2018 to where Thor when Thanos and Gamora went, it was easier for them all to go to 2014 because no one been to.
I wish someone had known that if they would have just went.
Let me ask you a question. Without talking about the scene yet, besides Clint and Natasha, who would you rather have gone?
No. So here's the thing: if they would have went to 2018, if they would have went there, they couldn't have. I mean, the way they set up the movie and stuff, they couldn't have. But they would have. Then they wouldn't have to. They go and just take it from. They had to have a little bit more manpower, to do this. But they would just go have Gamora be sacrificed. Oh, boo-hoo, Gamora dead. It's fine. I'm over it by this point.
And get the stone from Thanos.
And just get the stone from Thanos.
But what did it make it there in time?
Well, okay, it made
they did it the way they needed to because according to movie logic, systematically going to the 2018 middle year would have not made any sense.
Not that any of this movie logic is logic, but okay.
Anyway, so
with your question asking of like who would I rather? Honestly, who did end up this whole thing, which we'll get to, which I'm gonna cry. I think the person who did everything that happened there, I'm very happy with who it happened with, even if I'm still tragically depressed over it.
It made sense for why they did it.
Like I said, I keep reiterating, certain character only had one purpose. Like she really, I'm getting to it. Nebula and Rhodey. So they're there to take it from Star-Lord, which was really nice to see Star-Lord. I just recently watched the movie, and so like that was really fun. And I love how Rhodey's like, so he's an idiot, and she's like, yeah. But also a very important conversation to have before this is the fact that she knows that her past self is here, that Nebula is hunting for it as well. This brings up some very interesting points going forward, because Thanos figures out that there's a second Nebula in their solar system.
I love how they did this. I love how they did this with the two Nebulas, and like so their core mainframe is on the same channel, so they can use their Nebula to see our Nebula's memories, and I love that. That is a cool way of doing that. But Rhodey and Nebula also have a moment. Huh?
You're stealing it.
What?
I'm talking about it.
Sorry.
I know you're excited. I'm also excited. So, Rhodey and Nebula they end up knocking out Star-Lord, which was hilarious.
That was funny. Just
And I also really enjoyed the moment of where Nebula sticks her hand in there and pulls out the orb and hands it over, and he looks down and she looks up and she's like, I wasn't always like this. And he was like, neither was I. We are like given, like we deal with what we're given or something like that.
yeah.
We make what we're given with. Also, and so then they start to suit up to leave. So by this point, Thanos is on his way to where they're at, which is nowhere. Is that right?
Morag.
Morak. Sorry, I don't know planets' names. And they're on their way there. And, well, you see, the problem with this is the simple fact that Nebula collapses because they're trying to find memories and stuff inside this other Nebula's, our Nebula's head, and not the old. Oh my god, this is going to get really complicated. The other Nebula. And so Rhodey goes away. He gets the, they have the stone, and he goes away. Nebula is stuck here.
Which,
And
by the way, the other thing about the scene, folks, is that Gamora's back.
oh yeah, yeah.
I don't think you said that Gamora's back in the scene now.
Yeah, Gamora is here, and
A
so
badass Gamora at that.
yeah, we're back to which I also kind of enjoy. The darker and harder side of Gamora, not so much the softer side. But
Yeah.
I did not like the comment during the third. We'll get there. The ending of the movie. I didn't really like what she said about Star-Lord, but I'm jumping ahead of myself.
A little bit.
Huh?
About an hour and a half ahead.
No? Well, yeah, actually. Yeah,
Yeah,
no.
Jake.
Yeah, no. Okay. Moving on. So, and so she goes out there to warn Natasha and Hawkeye. Huh?
What she was saying in intercom. Thanos knows what's going on. Thanos knows what's going on.
Yeah, that Thanos knows that everybody needs to. This is a bad plan. Everybody, evac, type thing. Everybody needs to leave. She ends up getting captured and, well, slightly tortured, I guess. But we're jumping a little bit farther ahead. So now we're gonna move over to Natasha and Hawkeye. So they're on the plane, and they this really cute little joke about we're far away from
About Budapest.
Yeah, how we're far away from Budapest, and she smiles and he smiles, and then they land in Vandir, and
Red Skull Man is creepy.
they climb the mountain, and Red Skull pops up, and they both hold their guns out, and they say each person's father's and mother's names and things like that to show them that, hey, I know who you are. And she asks, Natasha's like, who are you? And he's like, I am the Stone Keeper. And she's like, cool, just show me where to get it, type thing. And being a badass that she is. And he takes her to the cliff that is now infamous for killing Gamora. He likes girls. That's all I can say without crying. And so they're sitting there and they're contemplating. Now, this is going on during other sequences, so we keep jumping back to them. That's why, it's kind of, we're talking it all happening at once. It's not how it is in the actual movie. But either way, they're sitting there, and he explains that you have to lose something that you love to be able to get the Soul Stone. That you have to take a soul, basically, to gather the soul. It's to make it sure that you're actually worthy of the said stone or whatever. And ironically, we're sent here with Hawkeye and Natasha, who are probably the people that love each other the most in the MCU at this very moment in time that's alive, except, Pepper and, Robert Downey Jr.
Don't bring them up. Don't bring all four of them up in the same sentence.
Oh, I totally am. Do you know why? It's fucking depressing. But, and so, Hawkeye's like, well, he's probably lying. It's probably not true. It's probably somewhere else. And Natasha's like, I don't even know my dad's name. He knew my dad's name, which is just sad and depressing.
When she said that, I'm like, oh shit.
And so they both looked at each other, and they both knew. And there's this line that's been going on is that no matter what it takes,
whatever it takes,
whatever it takes, whatever it takes. And they both look at each other, and they're like, whatever it takes. And they say these sentimental things to each other, talking about one another. And then Hawkeye is like, I think we're both thinking of different people in this conversation because they both want to sacrifice each other as they both are that type of person to sacrifice one another for the other. And it equals this like fighting type situation
The
of where
choreography in the fight between the two of them is beautiful.
they both are trying to jump and they would not let each other jump. Well, Hawkeye jumps, and it's this very cool sequence. And honestly, I was kind of being all happy for him jumping. I won't lie, got my hopes up, and my hopes got ruined real fast because obviously, huh?
Natasha shoots the grappling hook to catch him.
Natasha shoots the grappling hook. It lands in the wall, and she hooks it on
To Clint.
to Hunt, and they're hand in hand together. And he's like, "I'll pull you up. I'll drop. Let me drop. I can save you. It can still happen. I can still save you." And Natasha's like, "No, you have to let me go. This is what I need to do." And I strongly believe it by this point. In our story and things like this, this is where she needed to be. This is how she can help. If she could help any way possible, this is it. This is that moment in time. And so she pushes off, and she falls, and she dies, 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 and she's dead. And
What a genuine shock.
but
Everybody's talking about toning your cap. No one mentioned this.
And it was like one of those things of where we don't really have many heroic moments, and we have moments of heroes doing heroic things. But we don't
But
have many.
not a person in the MCU doing something for a heroic reason just because they know they need to.
Yeah, this is like a truly selfless act that she gave from a character that was raised to be a spy that killed people, that was taken into a family that she wasn't even really sure that she wanted, to having to like. I think we're paused. Hold on. You're moving, and now I'm not moving. I don't understand this life. Here, let's. Nope, still paused.
Let's give it a minute.
Nope.
Out of curiosity, how long have we been going?
An hour and 46 minutes. Can you hear me?
Yeah, I can hear you.
Am I just not moving?
Yeah.
Oh, interesting. Huh. Wondering how to fix that. Let's try taking away myself again, and we'll turn myself back on. Ah, I'm back.
Okay.
And yeah, I don't really know how I feel about it, to be honest with you. And she died in a very heroic way that will be remembered for the rest of the time.
Yeah. And I love the fact that when they do certain things, it doesn't reflect in her coming back. I love that her death meant something. But when we get to that point, actually, you know what? Let's skip the New Jersey thing because all you guys need to know from the New Jersey stuff is that they get the Tesseract. That's all you need to know.
Well, there's some pretty cool cameos that we should slightly mention. Is that
there's a cameo that we need to mention. Stan Lee.
Stan Lee is in this.
Stan Lee's final cameo was in the New Jersey thing, which my theater gave a thorous applause for. It was awesome.
And also Howard Stark came back, which was pretty cool. And of course, some people's favorites, we got Alls when Jarvis was there to open the door.
Jarvis, which is Agent Carter TV show, which I'm like, that is awesome. That is also representing what they need to represent.
Zachary, we're missing a big part. You keep not, because your mind is focused on one subject.
It is.
You keep forgetting about the other thing. This is actually important for Agent Carter.
Oh yeah, Steve sees Peggy.
Steve sees Peggy. That's all we're gonna say.
Beautiful moment. Just him staring at her.
And the end of Stucky with You.
Wanted to go in there and give her a hug.
The end of Stucky.
So after all that, they all get back together. Oh, there's an important thing before we get back to the compound. Nebula, bad Nebula, takes the orange pieces off of our Nebula to go back and say that, we made it. But our Nebula is still on the ship, whereas Thanos' daughter, Nebula, is with the Avengers. So they all get together and they make the gauntlet again. They make the gauntlet. They put all the stones together and make the gauntlet. And this gets into my favorite Chris Hemsworth moment of the movie is when he's like, "Okay, I'll do it. I'll put the glove on." And Tony's like, "Man, you're just not ready right now." And I love Thor's face, like, "Let me do something important. Just one thing. So I can feel like I'm doing something to fix this." I love that moment. But then Hulk goes, "Everybody, the energy from this thing will kill you, but it's pretty much gamma, so it won't kill me." And so Hulk puts on the gauntlet, and so I now know what the burning on the skin means. When they get burned, it's showing how far they're going back in time to fix something or take something away.
How do you know?
Because Collider talked about in their review, what Hulk's trying to do is go so far back in time to bring Nat back, but realizes that he can't, so he brings back who he can. And so we get like this moment of silence of like, did it work? Did it work? And I love this moment for Hawkeye. He hears his phone ringing, and who is it? It's Laura. He answers the phone and just starts to bawl. And then Bad Nebula inserts her fingers into the machine to let Thanos come through.
This is already happened.
And the way they did this was breathtaking. So the ship comes through, and Hulk looks up, and Hulk looks so happy, like, I did it. And all of a sudden, the blackness comes over his face, and you see Ant-Man looking outside. He's like, he sees a little butterfly floating through the sky, like, it worked. We did it. The compound's just getting blasted and blasted and blasted and blasted and blasted. We're getting to the things I want to talk about. Blasted, 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 blasted. And so the Avengers are split up. Hawkeye is underground with the gauntlet.
A lot of people are underground.
Hulk, War Machine, and Rhodey are all together. And Ant-Man's like, I can hear you guys. Can you hear me? What's going on? And then we get 2014 Thanos. By the way, everybody's been wondering, why does he have the sword? Why does he have the sword? We now know why he has the sword. It's not our Thanos. And he sticks it in the ground, puts his helmet there, and tells Gamora to go get the gauntlet. And Gamora asks Thanos, "What are you going to do?" "I'm just going to wait."
Nebula. He tells Nebula.
He tells Nebula to go get the stones.
It's important.
And then Gamora and Nebula asks Thanos, "What are you going to do?" "Just going to wait." And then we see Iron Man, Captain America, and Thor walk all. We get the shot from the trailer where we've been freaking out about the three of them walking to him, and he's like, "Look at all you did, and what it leads you to?"
And
Right
it's the
back
same
to me.
thing that he gives like every other time, so it's
Yeah.
nothing new.
The fight between the four of them. Holy shit. That 85 armor that Iron Man uses in this movie, fucking awesome. And seeing them go back and forth, and as this is going on,
Other people are doing other things.
But the main thing about this right now is the Thor, Captain America, Iron Man, Thanos fight. So, Thanos has got Thor down. Like he's using both Stormbreaker and Mjolnir. It's just not working, and Thor drops Mjolnir, and so he's just holding Thanos back with Stormbreaker. And then all of a sudden, they pull a Force Awakens moment, and you see Mjolnir just go. I'm like, oh, it's Thor. Thor's getting Mjolnir back. No. Boom. Whose hand does it go into?
Captain America. I wasn't really shocked.
Fuck.
I wasn't really shocked.
It was a callback to Age of Ultron, and I love Thor's reaction.
Yeah, it was really good. I knew it. I knew it.
And then you see Captain America fucking dual wielding shield and hammer going the ding ding, the ding ding ding, the ding 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 ding. And then, we're getting toward the end of the fight. Both Thor and Iron Man are down, and Thanos is just relentlessly beating on the shield. Just duh, duh, duh. It shatters, which is a callback to Tony's vision from Age of Ultron of seeing Cap's shield split in half. And then, Cap stands up, looks at the shield, tightens it, and this is when Thanos brings in the army of all armies. And then all of a sudden, you hear in Cap's ear, Cap, and we have no idea who it is at this point. We have no idea. He hasn't said something yet. Cap, it's Sam. And he makes a remark from Winter Soldier, on your left. And then the image of all images starts to happen.
So how he mentioned before, there's a satisfying moment in this movie. This is that moment where you're immensely satisfied.
My God. They made a moment where everybody thought, oh, when they bring them back, it's going to be cheap. It's not going to be worth it. Oh. So first walks out Okoye, Black Panther.
We're not going to go through the whole list. There's too many characters.
Everybody just rises, and in the middle is Cap. He looks at everybody, staring them. And I love the shot of the two sides just staring at each other. And Cap says finally what he's been supposed to say: Avengers assemble, and the battle of all goddamn battles occurs.
And I don't even know how to really talk about it either.
It's just
there's a lot of things happening.
The A-Force moment with all the ladies together, fantastic.
Can't wait for that movie if that ever happens.
Pepper Potts. I was so worried about her using this armor and feeling like she didn't earn it. Seeing her with Tony in that circular shot, them views of fighting together. Seeing Evangeline Lilly kick ass as Wasp and shrinking down Captain Marvel to get her through the area. Fucking cool. But the Captain Marvel moment, when you see the guns start to point up and everybody's like, what's going on? There's something coming from the stratosphere. We don't know what it is. Da-dum, da-dum, da-dum. Right through the ship. Not a problem. And then they call back to the Infinity War moment where Captain America has the hand in his hand and Thanos goes, oh, I'm just going to headbutt her again. Dum, nothing. Doesn't phase her. Nothing. Just like, give me the gauntlet. And she goes after the important van. That we told you guys to remember the van. They try to use the van to get the stones back, and Thanos throws this thing throws at it, and then we get a moment where I knew where this was going. I didn't want to think about it, but I knew where it was going. Is when Peter and Tony hugged. When Tony embraced Peter by going, "I missed you."
Also, like something else that we're not really touching on is that everybody who was dusted knew that they were dusted.
Yes, I love that. I was so worried they come back and go, "What happened?" They knew exactly what happened after what happened. I love that. And so then Tony looks at Steven, and Steven goes, and Tony goes, "You told me that there was one moment where we won. Is this it?" And Strange goes, "And this is important. I can't tell you. Otherwise, it won't happen." So it's toward the end of the fight, and
hold on. Side note: do you kind of slightly wish he would have told him then?
No, because the ending wouldn't have been the ending that it was. And so then Tony is fighting Thanos to get the stones, and he looks over at Strange. Strange does this. Just puts the finger up. And what everybody thought was going to happen was Tony was going to get the gauntlet off of him and put it on it. No. Tony realized they don't need the gauntlet. They just need the stones.
Yeah, I'm really surprised it took him very long to realize this as well.
That. So
by the way, another theory of mine is that they don't need the gauntlet, and you were like, no, they need the gauntlet. So I'm just saying. Pretty good.
So then Tony puts on... Oh, wait. Before that, it leads into my moment. Thanos goes, I am the inevitable. Nothing happens. He looks down, and
he sees there's no stones, and you see Tony's hand morphing with the stones on him. He looks at him dead in the eye and goes, I am Iron Man. And then you see Thanos' army, doing what they're doing. And then Thanos, I love the fact that Thanos is just sitting there going, I lost. I'm not going to complain. I'm not going to scream. I'm just going to sit here and realize that I lost. And withers away. And then you just see him sitting there, and Peter comes over, and he's like, Mr. Stark, we won. We won. He's not speaking. He's just sitting there with his eyes just. And then Pepper comes over. Earlier in the movie, Pepper and Tony are talking, and Pepper looks at Tony and goes, why don't you rest? Get some sleep and think about it. He's like, no, we need to do this. And so, coming back to this, Pepper looks at Tony and goes, Tony, it's done. Get some rest. And he just dies. She breaks down, and he's just laying there with his eyes open. It sucked watching it happen. But then we get probably one of the best shots of the movie after this, and that's the funeral. First off, they make a nod again to Iron Man 1 with the wreath on the water, and it has his proof that Tony Stark has a heart, which is beautiful all on its own. And then I love how they did this. I love it. Going from the Stark family with Happy in the front, then just going through everybody who's been in the MCU for the past decade, just everybody together. And then the last ones, which I think is poetically perfect, is Nick. And, then, we have the moment with Happy and his daughter, and Happy asks the daughter, what do you want? And she's like, cheeseburgers. And Happy says, you know what your dad's favorite thing was? Cheeseburgers. I'll get all the cheeseburgers you want. And I'm like, that's fucking cool. And then we go to, so I did the Tony thing. You do the ending. You do the ending with Steve.
So after the whole thing with Tony, they have to return the stones. And they have to return the stones. And so Steve is the one who's going to return all the stones. And the way it works, because honestly, I'm not really sure how it works. Like I said, the whole time travel thing is still kind of like mucky in the waters. But somehow he can have as much time as he wants over there. It's 5 seconds for us. So he gets on the teleportation to return the stones. He has Mjolnir, really cool moment. And he goes, and Hulk is counting down the moments of 1.
5, 4, 3, 2, 1. Going in. 5, 4, 3, 2, 1.
Well, hold on. Shh, Zachary. Shh. You can't tell me you can take this and then just come in and grab it. Come on. Be a good sport. Be a Black Widow.
Sorry.
Jump off the cave for me, will you? Too soon. Okay, and it doesn't work. He doesn't show back up. Hulk does it again. Doesn't show back up. And he starts freaking out as one would, getting, maybe got lost, And then Bucky, who's also in the scene, and so is
Sam,
thank you. And Bucky's like, Sam, look. And at first, what I originally thought, what they were doing, they did not do this. What I originally thought is that, and so he can live his life. So Steve can live his life. Here, I'll talk about what happens, and we can talk about what I originally thought. So they walk over, and you see this man. He's older, and he's sitting on the bench looking at the water. And you eventually find out that my friend is Steve Rogers, as a very, very old man who is getting ready to die. You can tell that he's getting ready to die. It's very evident, which I was really happy about. They weren't like, oh, he's gonna be old Steve for like a few more movies. No. And no one made a really big deal about the fact that he ended up living his life. I really loved the callback to where Iron Man was like talking about, the whole reason why he didn't want to do the whole time travel thing is because he found his happiness, and Steve never really got that. He was never really thought he would ever be able to grow old with someone that he loved and like all this stuff. And he finally got to do that. And that's that conversation between him and Sam. They end up getting the mantle over to Sam as Captain America, which we can talk about. We can decide if that was a smart idea, if we like that idea. I'm not so for it, but we can talk about it. And then you see that he got married. And we get teleported back in time to 1940s, just like I said. That's why that moment with Penny was so, not Penny, Peggy was so important, because he finally gets his dance in their living room, and they get
So
to kiss.
this makes me think that instead of the ship crashing, he made it.
See,
And
okay, yeah, that's what I'm assuming. Also, see, here's another thing. What I thought they were going to do originally, and the movie ends, by the way. That's the end of the movie. There's been speculation that Tony is not dead, by the way. That the end of the movie, did you save the whole credits?
No.
You didn't stay for the whole thing?
No.
I told you to stay for the whole thing.
I knew there wasn't a post-credit scene, so I didn't stay.
I told you there was a noise. There's a sound.
Oh, I knew about that. I think that's just a callback to Iron Man and him making the suit.
So it's a speculation that's going around. I don't think there's anything to it, but it is a speculation. But either way, that's the last bit. I thought he was going, and he changed him back. He went so far back and things to the point where he didn't take the serum. And so then he came back home as a scrawny little kid, as he was no longer Captain America again.
Gotcha.
That's what I thought. The Old Man Steve is a story, it's a very beautiful story that they did in the comics. So I'm very happy that they had that call. I enjoyed it. I was really surprised that's how they ended up having him go out. But ultimately, how all the characters, each character that did die in this movie, they all died in a way that I never felt cheated. I never felt like, oh no, that doesn't make sense. Iron Man sacrificing himself to save the world, that makes sense.
Steve going on and having the life that he needed, that he wanted, makes sense.
Makes sense.
Thor, we didn't talk about Thor. Thor going off and doing what he wanted to do and not being told what he needed to do, and giving Valkyrie New Asgard, and him joining the Guardians of the Galaxy to go find Gamora.
Which means, guys, guess what? Guardians of the Galaxy Volume 3 is going to have 4.
Which means my anticipation of Guardians Volume 3 went up.
Also, just to mention, which makes me wonder if that's the reason why they kept James Gunn, because James Gunn already knew that this was happening, and so the script and stuff was already written for this storyline. I'm very curious. Yeah. But also, Spider-Man's storyline does end with him going on the trip to Europe. So it is not a Mysterio thing of them going on a trip like we thought. It could still be, but I don't see it going down that way anymore.
Now with what we now know, I don't think it's Mysterio making up a story for Peter to go on. I genuinely think he went to Europe on a vacation, and so yeah, that does debunk that. But it's so nice to talk about Spider-Man now and not be upset about it. Like, Spider-Man's coming. I'm excited about it now.
But that's why I'm like, really, that's why I kind of get, there's a lot of articles that I read that people were just like mad. There was an Ed credit sequence. They set up several movies going forward. Like Captain Marvel, I have a really strong feeling just because of some choices that Brie Larson has made as an actress and things like that for the character. And her and Valkyrie, I would love for that to be an actual love thing in the movies. And there's been rumors that that's where it's going. And that's an excellent way to turn Asgard into something, is that they bring in Valkyrie for Captain Marvel 2. Like, they set up so many stories that I'm just like, I'm not like mad. We had so many post-credit sequences
within the last 20 minutes of the movie.
And unlike most movies, they don't make it. Most movies that were like, okay, we're not going to get post credit sequence. We're just going to throw a whole bunch of information at you. Set up movies. These felt
They
organic.
organically did it. It didn't feel like it was pushed on us. It was organically put into the movie where it made sense.
Very, very well done.
The credits, by the way, I want to give props to who did the credits for the movie for the ending.
Oh yeah,
Beautiful. Seeing the 6 Avengers do what they did with them was just, and everybody got a mention in the credits. Everybody.
which I figured.
It was really cool, but this went on for a little bit.
Well, all right. I am of course Jacob from Jacob is here. Like I said, it's linked above. So
I am.
I do some Cuban booktube videos on my main channel, which you are on.
I'm Raymond from the RZ Jones 18 channel, where you'll see a bunch of toy hunts, toy collecting, video game stuff, and all of the movie and TV reactions will be coming strictly to here to Weekend Movie Bros for the remainder of time.
And on this channel, because it's technically the first podcast, and the videos that will be coming are podcasts that are going every weekend, or like live streams and stuff. Those will be changed. Those could be during the week, but the podcast, like not live, will be coming out probably on Saturdays. I think it's the date that we assumed. And then we're also gonna have movie trailer reactions, TV reactions, and movie reviews, and other fun TV and movie things throughout the week and on the weekend. It's gonna be a very, very fun time between me and my lovely co-host.
I had a really good time talking about this movie. However, I'm excited to go to our next episode and just enjoy the movie news for the week. And
of things, yeah.
yeah, it's gonna be nice to take a break from the Avengers for a week and just talk about the rest of the movie news going on, because we're now into May. Within a week, we're going in right into May, and we start the month off with Detective Pikachu. So let's get ready for that one.
And yeah, I think that's I was going to add something, but I don't remember what I was going to add. But okay.
All right, guys. Well, then we will see you next Friday.
Well, no, we'll see you next Saturday.
Next Saturday.
Next Saturday. Oh, that's what it is. The next live stream will be hosted on Zachary's Raymond's channel. Sorry.
You're good.
We'll post it on Raymond's channel. The first one is going to be hosted on mine. That way we both can tell our audiences that we're going to be on. And then the third live stream for the third month, I'm assuming we'll probably do like one of these a month or something like that.
Yeah, live streams will be like once a month, but the podcasts will go up every weekend.
Yeah. And it will just be like a normal podcast, except this one will be more like if you want to interact with us and stuff, just like this one, it'll be live. The other ones are going to be pre-recorded and uploaded and things like normal. So the next one will be up on his channel. So check us out over there next month at whatever date. I'll put it on Twitter. By the way, you want to follow us on Twitter? It's linked down below. Follow me on Twitter. Follow us on Twitter.
Trying to get that blue check mark, aren't you?
I am.
All right, guys. We'll talk to you later.
Okay. Bye.
Bye.